Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We're hoping that you're all having an amazing week so far, and an amazing day so far. Wanted to thank all of you for tuning in today for our legislative update. And I also wanted to thank our directors who are on our call today, who are taking the time out of their busy schedules to give our members their legislative updates, and for also taking the time to attend the conferences in Sacramento, our legislative day. I know that it takes a lot to devote several days out of our week to get all this information and disseminate it to the board. So thank you, and to all of our members. So thank you again, everyone. So let's get started. I'm going to first get started by talking about the item that I was actually the local government affairs regional rep, and the one action item that we had to do with SB 1105, which was Regional Housing Agency in San Diego. And normally CAR doesn't get involved in regional items. They tend to get more involved on state items. But this was the third time that this was tried. They tried to pass this this bill, and basically what it covered was trying to implement a housing agency, actually what's called the San Diego Regional Equitable and Environmentally Friendly Housing Agency. And instead of opposing it like CAR has done in the past, they decided to actually oppose it only if the bill wasn't amended to include a few things. So what basically they were going to approve it only if they amended it, and there were about 5 different items that they wanted to be amended, such as including 2 to 3 2/3 of the voters approving it. They didn't want, which has happened historically with these organizations, is they tend to be super tenant friendly, where they make tenant restrictive items, such as making more or increasing rent control in the area. So aside from requiring that 2/3 of the voters approve it, they wanted to eliminate the agency's authority to impose, recommend, fund, or influence rent control, price controls, or rental eviction policies. So instead of going into the 5 items, those are the key items that basically we were going to oppose it unless it got amended. So that pretty much covers local government, the policy committee. Who would like to go next? Maybe we could have Josue give us an update on any of the items that you covered.
Sure, and I can also just kind of cover some of the big picture items regarding housing and the state and whatnot. And it's always interesting to go up to the Capitol and speak with the legislators in regards to what's happening. I think it gives us a great opportunity to give them our perspective as the ambassadors of homeownership, and what that means to their constituents, to their voting base. So we went up and we met with the Speaker's office. We also met with Senator Archuleta, which represents this area and also is a realtor. And then just as part of the realtors as a whole, we also heard quite a few speakers, including Senator Hertzberg and the Governor Newsom. Our main thing was to kind of cover two big asks. One was to reject or to oppose a bill that's been floating around regarding tenants in properties. And I know I get a lot of questions regarding what an agent can do or what a property owner can do when there is a tenant in a property. And this bill, which we opposed, basically prohibits an owner from selling a property for a year. They have to give their tenant first right of refusal, or give that ability to sell the property to a nonprofit, and it would hinder their ability to sell for a year. Obviously, in a changing market, and we're kind of seeing that right now, we see the impact of what that means. And so that was one of our key things that we were going to oppose. And after meeting with a handful of legislators, that actually the author of that bill, they pulled it, that shows the effectiveness of what we're doing. So that was a key one. And I don't know if Louis is going to end up talking. I think I'm probably stealing Louis' thunder here. But we also, as a whole, just kind of asked about, we had a good conversation regarding just housing, and asked for the help of the legislator in terms of helping to really promote home ownership. I think that's kind of the driver right now to a lot of the things that are happening, and really encouraging mom and pop home ownership as opposed to, well, even corporate home ownership. And so we asked for a couple things in the state budget. I think I can let Louis kind of cover some of those things into more detail.
Yeah, I can add a few things, and no, you're not stealing thunder at all. No, I think just to add to what you're saying, it's every year, it's really nice to see so many people up there. And like you said, Josue, the ability to be able to talk to legislators. We were at the speaker's office. I mean, we're literally at the table where things get done. So it means a lot what we do. And as a result, like you said, we were able to see some successes. One was the budget ask that you mentioned, and specifically, it essentially is an ask to the state legislators that would go up to the governor, obviously, to officially sign it, but more money for to increase the supply of housing. We've known for years that the issue is the supply of housing, more so than any other factor that's causing the housing crisis. So that was our specific ask. As recent, I think it was yesterday, we got a list of the legislators that actually signed off on the budget ask. We wish there would have been more. However, it's a good start. And I think by the time something does reach the governor's office, we'll be happy with the end result. And then you also touched on the rent control bill. So did you, Jennifer. It's a huge bill that we were able to defeat. And it just goes to show you how successful we were this legislative day. So yeah, it's great to be able to have that opportunity as an industry.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your feedback and your updates. Edwin, I know it was your first time heading over to the Capitol. You want to share your experience?
I mean, it's an amazing experience. It's my first time being there. I mean, from like learning so much, the process, the people. First and foremost, I wanted to thank the Greater Downey Association, how they just stand out head above shoulders as far as the work we do for our members. It was very apparent that we're well organized and we understand exactly what we need to do as far as accomplishing our mission statement. So great experience. I mean, I would love to go back, and it's something that really kind of gave me a lasting good impression on those 4 days that we were there. So great things. If I can talk about a couple of things that I learned or that stood out, and what was a big issue, which hasn't been finalized yet. It's still being in the works. So, and I don't want to alarm people, but it's more of something that was brought up many times in several of the meetings, and that has to do with the Supreme Court regarding the DOJ versus the NAR being the defendants. As of recent, there's 2 Supreme Court cases in fighting the issue as far as the sellers no longer paying the buyer agent their commission. And that's something that was brought up many times. And I know that recently one of the cases has been dismissed, thankfully. That was in New Jersey. And now there's one left in Illinois. And so I know that Jesus and I, we've been talking about this. I'll let him talk more about how that affects the realtor if it comes into play. Nevertheless, we still got to prepare ourselves in regards to the buyer exclusive agreement and how that can come into play and one day become mandatory, required form versus an optional thing. Because it's very important to understand that particular contract and how much of an important role it would be in the next few years if it does, if the DOJ gets their way. In regards to the seller no longer paying the buyer agent commission. So what happens at that point is they want the buyer now to pay the buyer agent the commission. And then most of the issues that we have there is that, well, the buyer already has, is sometimes struggling with their coming up with their own down payment and much more the closing costs. So how do they expect them to come out with their extra commission for the buyer agent? So there's couple of movements, couple of things that are being, it's ideas are coming into play. And I heard one, which was involving Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae and maybe financing that buyer, that commission. with the closing costs. So that way it eases the entry for home ownership. But in regards to contracts, I know Jesus, he's been talking about that for years, even before that. So if I may, he can talk about that in regards to that. So that's what I learned. Great stuff. I mean, it's amazing stuff. I mean, there's so many other things that I learned there, but that's one of the things that stood out for me.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Edwin. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. I think it just reminds all of us, as well as all of the members, the importance of contributing to the Realtor Action Fund. We know that there's always governmental entities and public trying to, chip away at our rights and our ability to conduct business. I know Department of Justice may have, good intentions there, but at the end of the day, we have a huge issue on affordability, and anything that's going to hinder others from purchasing homes, make it more difficult for them to purchase homes, we definitely want to fight it. But thank you so much for sharing that. So if you haven't already contributed to the Realtor Action Fund, make sure you do, because we need those lobbyists. We need to fund those lobbying efforts to stop efforts like this. Chuy, or Jesus, you want to chime in on that as well?
Chuy, Jesus, it is what it is. I get called Chuy, and I was just talking to someone this weekend, and I was mentioning either I'm called Chuy at home or Coach, and then when I'm in trouble, they call me by my real name, Jesus. So thank you. Yeah, a quick fact. It's interesting to know this when we were up there, and I want to read it just to make sure that I don't get the numbers wrong. It's California currently holds a population of 40 million and only enough housing for 25 million. So that kind of gives you an eye opener of where the housing crisis is, right, Louis? Is something that we always talk about. And, when you're up there, I'd piggyback on what Jose was talking about, on how it could affect when you have, as a homeowner, that you have to sell the property over to the tenants, right? Or to some organizations. And that would really impact a lot of the home ownership here in the state of California. However, I'll, in a segue, talk about what Edwin was just talking about, the Realtor Action Fund, and the way you were talking about that, Jennifer, how important it is to contribute to the Realtor Action Fund, because we have the second biggest lobby, if I'm not mistaken, in the state of California. And that really plays a big portion in how there's things and laws that will try to impact our real estate community. However, we also protect a lot of the homeowners. And I'm not sure, and I want to bring more awareness when it comes to this, when people come to contributing, how important this is, and it impacts our industry in a positive way, not in a negative way, because we're trying to protect home ownership and at the same time create more opportunities for everyone to actually buy a home. So one of the biggest things I learned up there is that we do have a very CAR is actually trying to push, because there's a big surplus, and how to actually get this to more housing. And so one of the biggest things that we'll discuss as soon as we got there. How can we get more programs to get affordable housing for first-time buyers? So that was very, very big up there in the state, up north. Then something that Edwin talked about, it's the buyer broker agreement. And as soon as we landed, right away, they started talking about how they want to now just talk about this commission. And it was ironic how some people were some against it. I was more, okay, if they do that, why don't we just start putting into play the buyer broker agreement and just implement it? Something that I don't know if a lot of realtors know, that we have that right now on the forms, and we could apply that, and we could actually, your service could be included, and you could charge a commission. However, some people don't know about it, and we're against it, but we don't know how that's going to play out. I'm a big believer that, if you know your contracts, you do have a right to say, you know what, the buyer could pay me a commission. So as long as everything's disclosed. I don't know how that's going to be played out, but you could actually do that today. And some cases you could get paid more than the listing agent. You could do it. Obviously, there needs to be a buyer presentation. You can just do all this, but we're going to see how that plays out. I think Josue and Louis talked about all the other things that I was in, so I don't want to add or bore people with any more than what I have to mention. But get involved in the board. Get involved, and you'll learn so much. And you bring it back to your office, and you start educating the realtors in a much better way. And that's what we're all about. We're trying to educate our realtors here at the Greater Downey Association of Realtors, and just giving you guys more information so we could actually be better prepared in our industry. Last thing, a neighborhood always gets stabilized when there's more home ownership. And that's something I learned from our governor. He got that line and right away I wrote it down. And it's so true, right? Especially in inner cities. A neighborhood will always get stabilized when there's more home ownership because they take pride in fixing their yard. They take pride in painting their homes. They take pride of, making sure that there's, people starts cleaning even the streets, right? Just the sidewalks. So you start seeing all these developments in the inner city. And I love that because who doesn't want their neighborhood to get better? So let's continue actually educating the realtors and let's continue getting these first-time home buyers and getting a nice home and making the dream come true.
Great
Jenny from the
update.
block.
Great update, Jesus. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing. On top of improving communities, it also brings a lot of tax revenue. I know the governor had mentioned that. He quantified it. I don't remember what the data was, but it increases or brings a lot of tax dollars to local communities. Because as soon as someone buys a home, they start purchasing items for the home. They go to Home Depot, Lowe's. They
Yes.
start, you get gardeners, taking care of their gardens, and it just trickles down. So.
Yep.
Jennifer,
Good
can I
job.
just say something real quick? I wanted
Absolutely. Jump in, Louis.
Thank you. Because we talked about RAF a little bit, the Realtor Action Fund, and Jesus brought up a good point. So did you, about the importance of it. And just one thing to keep in mind, to give you an idea of how influential our industry is and how important, therefore, it is to give to the Realtor Action Fund. We got the governor to speak as a keynote, and not every industry gets that. And for a few years now, we've had the governor, whoever the governor was or is at the time, has been there. So our industry has a lot of influence, and by giving to the Realtor Action Fund, we support our efforts even more so. And it's actually very, very important to get our legislation passed, good ones at least, good bills, and then defeat bad bills. So it all ties in, is my point. And yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Louis. Does anyone else want to give some valuable feedback or any updates to our realtor members?
Contribute to the Realtor Action Fund.
Yes.
I'm big on that. It's and it's one of those things. A couple of years ago, people tend to forget. They put it under the rug when they wanted to take away dual agency, right? And something that Louis talked about, if how important that would devastate our industry right here in the state of California, not being able to, not even an agent from, if for instance, Edwin has a listing, I happen to be in the same office, we wouldn't be able to represent both parties. That's pretty big. And when I finally was very well informed and educated, that's the biggest word I have to emphasize: educate. And knowing that even the $20, I understand that's the minimum, right? Minimum, but let's be honest, some people waste more than $140 on the lunch. But if you invest that, it goes a long ways to actually save our real estate community here in the state of California. So biggest thing is, let's get educated. And every year when I see that $20, $140 or more, please invest in it, because it's a very great investment and it goes a long way.
The true cost of doing business, right?
Yes.
Are there any other committees? I know that we had some members on the business technology committee, or any other committees that you guys want to share any updates. I know that the business technology committee, that they had a new organization or company that was going to help resolve the issue that we're having with the insurance companies canceling fire insurance policies. Does anybody have an update on that or want to share anything on that? That was
I was actually on the technology committee, and it's something. Thank you for bringing that up. It was something that again, it's regarding technology and how they're able to analyze the different type of zonings and the analytics that comes into play in regards to the tools that they were using. So they're able to predict potential fires and the probability of that particular building or structure catching a fire within the fire zone. And so within that, they were able to prove that some of it will never catch on fire, even if they're within that type of zone. So some insurance companies would be willing now to insure. So, I mean, those are one of the things that they had. Another one was property management in regards to now following what a renter has been doing in the next 4 or 5 years. And when it has to do with that is that they will be able to track to see if in X amount of years, will they be able to now qualify to own a home. and that's following their financials and their activity and their income and how that could be trending up. And then at that point, helping them get a home. Aside from that, another company talked about more of a trusted advisor hub, where we would be able to follow them after the purchase of a sale. They will log on to this hub, and in there they can log on and ask for a plumber, ask for a electrician, ask for a designer, and we would always be there on the bottom right corner, our face and our name as a realtor, in case they ever want to reach out to us. And what that does is it keeps us as top of mind as far as realtors, because there's a staggering statistic out there that 85% of sellers or homeowners use a different agent than the agent that got them into that home in the first place. And the reason being is because we always look for the next deal and the next opportunity, and we never look back. And so this particular hub would enable us to always be top of mind for our clients. And what better way to be that? And it helps out with the artificial intelligence that is implemented in that system. So a lot of great tools. I love the era that we're in, because we get to see and grab technology and implement it in the real estate industry, because there's so many other tools that can be implemented. And we're going to see that for the next coming years, how things can be easier for us, and how CAR can help us partner up with them. And one day, log on to our MLS, and there is that tool that's part of the membership. So great things. But those were one of the things that we did see and learn from the technology committee.
Thanks, Edwin, for sharing the updates on the Business Technology Forum. It just shows CAR's commitment to providing better tools for our realtor members to do more effective job in reaching out to our clients, the community, as well as protecting our private property rights and our rights to home ownership. So thank you, Edwin. Is there anyone else that would like to say a few things?
Jennifer, I guess just to kind of give just a kind of a big picture, as an industry, I feel like we do have two jobs. One is mastering our craft in helping people negotiate, helping people buy and sell property, and understanding everything regarding that, in regards to contract and technology and whatnot. But then the second part, I guess, is it's the survival of our industry, right? And that's why we do things like this, to go to Sacramento and again, just to hit on that Realtor Action Fund. So last year we were at 25% as far as our members. So I'm just going to round up to 3,000 members. And so 25% of our members for the Greater Downey Association contributed at least $20 to the Realtor Action Fund. To me, that doesn't, I'm not happy with that. I know you weren't happy with that, because you were very aggressive and you wanted 50%. So this past year, we increased from last year. We actually made it up to 27%. But again, the way I see it, I think this is a non-negotiable item. I think our industry and our association really needs to step up. This is literally, we are fighting to preserve our industry. And all the disruptions, every year we have a different disruptor, right? It's either Purple Bricks 2 years ago or Zillow, but legislative issues are always going to be there. And we always have to fight to protect that industry.
I agree with Josue. It's no greater investment. We tend to not protect our industry as much as I would love to, and that's on a personal level. But it's a standards. We go back to setting some standards, and I believe that we should. I love Jennifer's goal, 50%. So that's a personal task that I would love to achieve. And I believe once a lot of realtors again go back to the education, they'll see the big picture. But it's our job. That's why we're here as leaders, and we go up there at Sacramento. We gotta come back and share the knowledge. And we have to apply it. So that's the best thing I could actually tell you. I love today's technology. I love today's era. Like everyone said, we're here, we're alive, and we're through a Zoom. And some people are out there in La Jolla and zooming in technology, right? So I love today's era. Of course I do. I live in it. So why don't we make the best out of it and, bring more awareness when it comes to our industry.
Awesome. Thank you guys for reminding everyone the importance of RAF. I think we actually need to do a new video, guys. It's about time. Everyone loves that
think
video,
so.
but I think we need a part 2.
A part
do
2?
it.
Yes.
I don't know
Yeah.
about that. I don't know. Should we do a reggaeton now? The other one was rap.
We'll leave it. We'll
Yeah.
leave it up to you guys, but we definitely want to see a part 2. What do you think, Jeanette? We should do a part 2 for sure.
Her
Sounds
silence
good.
means she's on board.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Man.
Does anyone else want to contribute any
Okay.
other updates that you feel are important to share before we wrap up? Going
No,
once, going twice. Awesome. Well, thank you guys
I
again.
mean,
Go ahead, Edwin.
okay. No, I lost my other AirPod down. No, but honestly, anyone that's watching this video and you always wanted to be part of policy for the association, volunteer, reach out to one of us, and obviously we want you guys to be involved in the future, because I know that whoever's watching are the future leaders to our association. So, be part of it, be intentional. If policy is a strong point in your life, then definitely reach out. And one day you may be going to Sacramento, just like we are right now. So I wanted to thank everyone else on staff and our members and our board of directors and our viewers to continue to support. So again, RAF is such an important factor. So thank you.
I've heard Josue say this before when we've done broker outreaches, and it's so important. If anyone in the industry has ever thought about running for office, getting appointed to a committee or a commission, do it. We need more people from our industry.
Very true,
Right.
Louis. And I know that CAR has put on a few sessions where they give classes if you're considering running for office. So they're super supportive on that. Hey, there's a huge
Cool.
saying: if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, guys. So I don't want to be on the
Right,
menu.
right.
So I'd rather be definitely on the table.
There you go.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. If you have any questions regarding any of the legislative updates, feel free to reach out to the board or to any of us that actually went to Sacramento. Remember to contribute to RAF. We need your support. I know if
That's
any
right.
remember the most recent thing that took effect that the Department of Justice was able to get implemented was publishing our commissions on to the public, right? I know we fought that, but they were able to get that past us. So those are little things that they're trying to again take away our ability to conduct business the way we want to conduct business, right? So
Yes.
I hope you guys all have an amazing day. Don't forget, we're going to be at our Taco Wednesdays at the park. If anybody want to give some updates, I think we're going to, the taco event starts at 11:30 and it's was it Furman Park? I forgot the name of it.
Furman.
Yeah. I start getting hungry at 11:30 anyways. So yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, awesome. So we're about an hour and a half away, guys. We look forward to
All right.
seeing you. Great networking opportunity. Have a great day,
All right,
everybody.
bye.
Peace. Bye-bye.
Peace. All right.